you've been feeling the call to write a book, it is no accident. Your book is needed in the world, so let's make it happen. I'm Nicola and this is the Unbound Writers Club. Hello and welcome to the Unbound Writers Club, where today I am joined by Sunya, previously known as Lisa Joynes. Sunya is the author of The Story of Sunya's Magic Hat, which is... it's kind of like a children's book for adults. It takes us on the journey, on Sunya's journey of awakening, when she found this magical top hat and the adventures that they have had together over the past few years. This book is such a powerful activation. It combines visuals, photos with really magical and playful words. It's described as a true and remarkable tale of synchronicity, intuition, and the magic of the universe, and it 100% is. We love working with books that are different at the Unbound Press, maybe books that don't fit into a particular box or pigeonhole. They're not easily labeled, but they're super magical. And this is one of them. So I'm really excited to introduce you to Sunya. Let's dive in. So Sunya, welcome to the Unbound Writers Club.
Hello, Nicola. Thanks for having me.
Such a pleasure. And I can't wait to dive in. And before we do, I'm going to ask you the question that I ask everybody for the podcast, which is, what makes you an unbound writer? What's unbound about your writing process, or who you are? So much.
Well, I have just transformed. I've transformed from Lisa to Sunya, and there's no stopping me. I'm my true, authentic self, speaking my truth. I'm unbound now in my transformation to speak my truth.
Yeah, you totally are. I mean, it's almost a silly question because as soon as I met you, actually, we connected on Zoom initially, and then we got to meet in person, and I was like, what a magical, unbound being you are. And really, I guess the book, The Story of Sunya's Magic Hat, tells at least some of that story of you awakening and going on this journey, becoming more unbound.
Definitely. I mean, it's to inspire people to take a step on the path of transformation, even if they don't know what it is. Take the first step. What's that quote? The journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. I didn't even know I was starting that journey until my husband was given a terminal diagnosis. That's when it all started. So it's all divine timing, and the fact that I was guided to you to publish my book, it's all divine timing. We have to trust the process. So that's a long answer to your question.
Trust the process and trust the magic hat as well.
Yeah.
Tell us some more about, obviously it's the story of the hat in the book, so I don't want to kind of give anything away, but tell us how, I mean, obviously, like you say, when your husband passed, that was a big awakening for you.
That was it. Yeah.
Tell us how the magic hat, comes into this as well.
Well, there's just so much to say, and I actually had started to write the story of us, and I'm getting an emotional wave of clairsentience, the story of my husband getting his diagnosis and dying and me waking up. But then this other book came through. It barged its way through, and it was the Heyoka, the sacred clown. Well, you're here to have fun, for God's sake, and to shake people out of the illusion, the Maya, the inverted matrix, whatever you want to call it, to wake up. And so that Heyoka energy, I was guided to the hat, and Yeah, the sacred clown and Hoka. So the shaman, I was also called to shamanism, shamanic energy medicine. So it's all about energy. But what I need to say is also the Mad Hatter. So
Mm,
it's that clown energy, that imagination. Everything comes from the infinite consciousness, the imagination. And Alice in Wonder, I've literally been living Alice in Wonderland since I woke up. And obviously I've been following the White Rabbit. I seem to be many characters within that story. Alice, but also obviously now the Mad Hatter with my hat. So I was guided to it. And what a magical story that is. And it just wants to come through from that same consciousness that Lewis Carroll plucked the Alice's Adventures in Wonderland from.
beautiful. Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. Down the rabbit hole. And we go down the rabbit hole with you in this book. And what I love about the book, and I remember when we first met and you had kind of created your own version of the book initially with like some amazing visuals and photos, and obviously the story of the magic hat. And when I held it in my hands, I was like, you told me about it and we'd talked about it, but when I held it in my hands and read the whole book, the whole story, I don't know, it activated something in me. I feel it now. I've got a copy of it right here in front of me. And that sacred clown piece, I just feel that energy is really, really important for us, like collectively with what's happening in the world at the moment, this kind of collective awakening that has been happening, that is happening, that continues to happen. The energy of the sacred clown, and you also talk about Loki in the book as well. Is that something you were always connected with, Shunya, or has that come kind of post awakening?
Well, where do I start? So much is coming through. It's like my head is going.
Yeah.
Um, but it was a joke. I mean, in itself, the fact that I actually wrote it, created it, and presented it to you, say, "Here's my book," without even knowing the the way a book is published. I did everything back to front, didn't I?
Yeah.
So that in itself was a joke. But it's my husband was life path 3, which is in numerology. That's like the entertainer. So he was always like, and I'm getting this a wave of emotion now. He was always that sort of. He was the life and soul of the party, and like a friend said to me, yeah, but he was like stood in front of you, and yes, he was being his amazing entertainer self, but you were like in the background and you couldn't be your true authentic self. So she said it, now he's gone, it's your time to step into the limelight. And he was known as, one of his nicknames was Monkey or Monk or Chimp, Chimper. So it's been all about monkeys. Monkeys pop up all the time. So, and it's just, I've got on my hallway wall, I've got a picture by a cartoonist called Mordillo, and it's of a circus, a
Mm.
big tent in the circus. But it's like the animals that are normally the performers are in the audience watching the humans having to do all the things that the animals normally do.
Oh,
So it's all
lovely.
that, it's like I've run away and joined the circus. It's just the clown energy, and it's like my book is helping people wake up to the truth that the cosmic joke, the divine comedy, it's not, we're not here to take it so seriously. We're here to have fun and enjoy life.
Yeah, yeah. And
And I
it's
know that's easier said than done. But
totally, totally, yeah, people can think, oh, well, like, it's easy to say, but like you say, sometimes it's not that easy to do. But I feel like connecting with your book is one way to kind of bring
yes, so
more of
it's
that
all
energy
about
through.
energy. Everything is about energy. Even Einstein and other scientists talk about this. It's scientific fact, if you like. It's not just spiritual woo-woo stuff.
Yeah,
Everything's energy. And so, yes, the energy that's because as a shaman and a hollow bone spirit channels through me, works through me, and the energy is just crazy sometimes. And that is obviously been put into the book.
Yeah,
And just like you said, just holding it, it's rippling out into the world.
totally.
And the divine wanted it to ripple out into the world to get the message out, to infuse people with its energy.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, absolutely. It gets to ripple out, and it's, this is just the beginning of it. Absolutely.
As
Go
we
on.
sit here on Zoom, I know this is like just an audio, but I've got a background of Stonehenge behind me. So even that is like these were portals of energy to connect the grid work, the world grid, planetary grid, that's the word I'm looking for. Yes,
Mm,
so that's no coincidence that I'm sat here with an ancient energetic portal behind me.
exactly.
An energy portal.
Yeah,
And clock, divine timing as well. It was used, known as so many things.
yeah, yeah. Well, I really believe that each book is like a portal of its own. And definitely this one. I guess the hat as well is like a portal.
Yeah,
This incredible top hat that you came into your life and really took you, well, it was a big part of taking you on this journey.
because the spiritual joke there, and I don't want to give too much of this
No.
magical story away, is that a hat sits on your head. And what is the head? In spirituality, it's the crown, the portal
Mm,
to your soul.
yeah, yeah,
That's the joke
yeah,
of the
yeah,
hat.
yeah.
Connect to who you really are.
Well, how different were you, you know, when you were Lisa, before you experienced like this huge life event, obviously, with your husband passing and
Yes, well, I
awakening?
completely transformed. I think some DNA switches were activated in my body,
Hmm.
helix, whatever you call, and I just lost 4.5 stone, so 4.5 stone lighter. So that's a big change in itself.
Wow.
And so I look different, and then just the work I do. But I would really need to ask my one of my friends because I've lost friends through my transformation.
Hmm.
Some people didn't understand what was going on. Said, "Oh, you've gone to the dark side," and I said, "No, it's called spiritual awakening."
Yeah.
But they couldn't. It obviously triggered something in them that they weren't ready to face. And my other friends who knew me before think it's amazing. And then there's people, my new friends, that don't even know the old person, and when I showed them a picture, was that really you? So
Yeah.
I've literally completely transformed. And what was I like? Well, I've been talking about it a lot lately. I just think, isn't it amazing? So we're going through life living what we think is a normal life, and then suddenly, boom, something happens. You think, oh, and then why didn't I know this before? Well, you weren't meant to know it before. Then I'm thinking now I know so much more now than I used to. And I'm thinking, what don't I know now
Yeah.
as Shunya and as a shaman that I'm going to know later? And then I'll be thinking the same thing then in my future self. Wow, look at what I know now and that what I didn't know then. And it just seemed all so normal then. And that was everything. That was life, like most people. This is life, get on with it. Well, actually, there's so much more if you just open your mind, open your
Mm.
heart and open your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I mean, I didn't know you before, but from what you've talked about, it feels like the contrast is huge. And like you say, it's almost like too much for some of the people you used to know that it's like triggered them. And like you say, but imagine, like, if we were to have a conversation in 10 years' time, we could both be saying, God, can you believe the people we were back then? And how we
I
saw
think,
things.
yeah, but I, as well, once you step onto this journey, as you know, it's not just, you don't just wake up once.
No,
You just keep having lots of different awakenings going, for want of a better explanation, levels. I know there aren't levels, but you just go up, you just expand more and more. So
yeah.
I am Shunya now, but what am I going to be in 5 years' time? I might be somebody.
Exactly. You'd be writing a book in another name then.
Yeah. I was just texting somebody this morning who's got two names, and I think they don't know, am I this person or that person? And I sent them the scene from Alice's Adventures in Wonderland of the caterpillar, where she meets is it Absalom on the mushroom, and he says, "Who are you?" and and so it's all very confusing, and she didn't know what to say. But it's like, "Who are you?" Well, we're constantly changing.
Yes. How like magical and powerful is that? And also, again, coming back to like the sacred clown energy, because yeah, we can be someone different in every moment, can't we? And like I love it about this book and seeing the journey that you have been on, Shunya, and you know, the hat and everything that's been activated, like the adventures that you've had that are in this book. I'm like, like some of the pictures and places you've been to. And I have to mention the Moomins
Yeah.
because I loved reading the Moomin books when I was little. And it was a TV, like a TV program as well, which I loved watching. And there's a connection with the Moomins and the author of the Moomin stories as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, there is, and the way the intricate web is woven is just incredible because it's not just about Alice in Wonderland, it's not just about the Heyoka, it's not just about Tove Jansson. It's about so much more. My head is going to explode, but I've done my best to make it concise. But, so on my shamanic awakening, I went on a shamanic expedition into the wilderness of Finland, which is where The Moomins was written by Tove Jansson. And I didn't realize till I was leaving actually that and I was there in August, so it was my birthday, that she had the same birthday as me. So it
Wow.
was like her spirit had called me there, as well as the spirit of the land. And as you say, I loved reading those stories as a child. And one of my favorite stories involved the hobgoblin's hat, which was a top hat. So I'm not going to say any more. So there's the earliest reference to the top hat was when I was, I don't know, between 5 and 9, but the
Mm.
magic was starting all the way back there.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, as you were speaking there, there's something, this is just kind of landing for me, so hopefully I can be coherent. But the top hat could be seen as quite a almost kind of like patriarchal symbol, you know, of kind of men wearing these top hats and like dressing properly and being in positions of power. And there's like this reclamation, energy reclamation that comes through in your book as well. And like allowing the top hat to be its magical and playful self. That's actually something that I hadn't thought about before.
Well, you've just raised a point for me actually, because yes, I talk about this in the book, and it's the hatter that inspired me to write the book actually gave me the history of the top hat, and he
Mm,
loved the way it had gone from being a symbol of power for the elite to a
yeah,
symbol of power for the working class, if you like. So, and it's just come to me, there's also this spiritual message of where we are at the moment in this big shift in the Great Awakening. It's about, and I was called by Mother Earth actually and my ancestors into the shamanism because it's about restoring the balance of power. And I'm getting a
mm,
wave of claircognizant again. It's the sacred feminine, the divine feminine is rising. So it's no coincidence that I've chosen to publish my book through you who work with these amazing, powerful divine feminines. So it's about the divine feminine rising in power to bring that balance between the divine masculine and divine feminine. So there's all that connected into it as well.
yeah. I just got massive chills then as you were saying that. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what was the actual writing process like? Did it just flow through the story?
Well, I was just sat in my study working away on the original book, and then it's just like, boom, oh, I've got to write this.
Yeah,
And within a matter of days, I'd written it, and then I was creating it with all the pictures and everything. So it literally, within a week, I'd done it. The download, once you do automatic writing, it just flows, doesn't it? So
absolutely. Absolutely. I thought you were going to say
I
something.
was sort of going off kilter a bit. But you were talking about hats, and I was just thinking, well, in everyday life we sort of joke about, oh, which hat are you wearing today? I'm doing this job or that job, or you know the mechanic's job, the chef's job, the gardener's job. We're being all these things, and we just sort of joke and you say, oh, which hat are you going to wear today, and which hat are you wearing? So the hat is much more significant and forgotten about than we think, isn't it?
Yeah, big identity piece there. Yeah. You've mentioned the other book a couple of times
Mm.
during our conversation, the one that you have been working on that is there and is still happening, and this one wanted to come first. Tell us a little bit about the next book and how that's unfolding.
Well, it's evolving, and you said to me, because I said I just can't get on with it, and you said, well, that quite often happens when one book has been birthed.
Mm.
Sometimes you find it difficult to get on with something else, and that's what I found, because from my original idea of writing it, it's completely transformed. And I thought, oh, this could be a trilogy of books, but then now I think Spirit wants me to condense an awful lot of information into just one book, and I just don't, at this moment in time, I don't know how I'm going to do it.
Mm.
But I was just sitting down and sort of writing up my journals of the magic that had happened after my awakening. And then somebody said to me the other day they would actually be interested in seeing a book of the synchronicities of how the book came about. But there's just so many, I wouldn't know how to condense them. But I'm going to have to, and I'm going to I'm going to trust the process. It will come when it wants to come, and I will be guided by my spiritual team, which is where I will say something a bit crazy.
Go for it.
um, I realised that actually I know that I'm Nefertiti in another timeline. That's one of my other lives, but something amazing was revealed to me. My parents used to live in the house. When I was about 5, we used to live in this big house. It was a project that my parents had taken on, which didn't actually come about, but that's a whole nother story. But we lived in the house where Charlotte Young lived. Now,
Mm.
Charlotte Young is, I think, Edwardian or Victorian author and novelist, and she also knew Lewis Carroll. So there's the connection. So I feel like she's got a hand in it.
Mm. Yeah.
And the week my book officially came out, I had unconsciously booked to have lunch with my parents in that village where she grew up, and had a huge influence. And then after, so it was like I was celebrating my book with my parents who actually birthed me into this world, and I'm birthing my book. I'm thinking, and this is where Charlotte Young lived. And so I went after lunch, I went to the church, the local churchyard where she's buried, and I stood in front of her grave and I thanked her. And I'm getting a wave of emotion now. And
Mm.
the other one that came through, another author who I'd never heard of before, came through in meditation, was Maya Angelou.
Yeah.
And she's a very powerful sort of activist
Mm.
writer of her time. So I seem to be channeling authoresses. Um, so I'm going to consciously connect with these amazing writers in spirit to help me birth my other book. And I'm going to trust the process.
100%. 100%. Like, you talk about kind of condensing a lot of information into one book, but that's exactly what you've done with the story of Shunya's magic hat. There's so much in there that almost it
Well, I've
doesn't
done
need
it
to.
before.
You've
So
yeah, you've done it. So it will. I know it will. I know it will happen again. I totally trust that. And I can't wait. I can't wait to see how the journey's going to unfold. And that will be a whole other conversation as well, Shunya. In the meantime, for those who are listening, who want to find out more about you, want to keep in touch and like come on the journey with you as you share the story of Shunya's magic hat more, and write your next book, what's the best way for people to follow along and connect with you?
I created a new website for my shamanic energy medicine.
Hmm.
So they can go to Shunya, which is Sunya, the shaman at shunyatheshaman.co.uk is my website, and you'll go on a shamanic journey on there. But there's also a link to my Facebook and TikTok. So I try to keep up my TikTok posts. I was never into social media before until I did the Camino. I was called to do the Camino in 2022,
Hmm.
which is going to be in my book, the other one, and it will be in there because it was magical. So the Camino, yes, I've forgotten where I was. What was the question? I forgot the question.
Just you shared your website and you were talking about TikTok, social media.
Oh yes, so that's it. That's the link. So I started to do TikTok posts when I did the Camino to share my journey with friends and family, and I was called the Dancing Pilgrim because all I've been doing since Gary died. Well, I did dance before he died, but he wasn't a dancer. But yeah, it's just been all about dancing and music. That's what how one way he communicates is through music. So I was dancing and encouraging other pilgrims to dance with me. So, and then I was getting so many viewers, I thought, well, I should continue doing this post. So I have, and that was, well, 3 years ago now. So just keep an eye on Dancing Pilgrim for sharing my spiritual journey and anything else that wants to come through and be shared by spirit. And then Facebook, I don't tend to use Facebook as much as TikTok, but I will try and do my best to put more on there. But that's how you can get hold of me, through my website and through those channels.
We'll make sure the links are in
Or
the
you can
show
always
notes.
use telepathy.
Yeah, exactly. Who needs social media or websites? Who just communicate? Definitely. Totally here for that. Totally here for that. Oh, it's always such a joy to connection. Yeah, I'm so delighted that your magical book is part of the Unbound Press family and that you are part of this incredible family of authors. And I'm so looking forward to seeing how the next book unfolds as well. Thank you so much for joining me today.
And thank you, Nicola, for giving me the opportunity to birth my book and my next book.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thanks so much.
Okay, bye bye. Hasta pronto.